All right. Well, good morning and welcome to our first workshop of the year with SCORE Arizona and Utah. This is one of my favorite workshops. It is a three-part series. So if you registered for this one, you're registered for all of them. So super exciting. And Jessica will kind of touch base on the other two workshops. But today we are starting off with activating your ideas, the perfect workshop for the new year. And Jessica is with the founder of ArrowMaker, and she does a lot of business consulting one-on-one, and she just really overall enjoys helping businesses in all stages of where they're at and helping them grow. And she does a lot with work-life balance and just figuring out how to get the most out of what you want to do with your business. So I'm going to turn it over to Jessica, and she's going to tell you how today's going to work.
Thank you, Crystal, and thank you again, everybody, for coming. Let me share my screen again, and we can jump right in.
And while she's doing that, I also want to thank the Pima County Library. They are sponsoring this three-part series. They're located in Tucson, Arizona, the Pima County area, and they also offer a lot of free resources. So if you're not connected with your local library, definitely check them out. They have tools that we do not have that they pay for to help you and your businesses. So they have what's called the Ignite program. So definitely head on over and check out their website.
Thank you, Crystal. And thank you, everybody. So let me know if there's ever any issues, but we tested this earlier, so it should be a good size. As we said before, it is interactive. So if you've got for the next 90 minutes, we are going to be working on a worksheet that I'm going to post here in a couple of minutes. And we're going to hopefully get you an actionable plan to walk away with. So if anyone else pops in from this point, Crystal, if you can point them out, if I don't see them already, I'll just repeat that for them and use the chat feature as well. Actually, I'm going to pull that up and move that a little closer here. I have a large monitor here, so I've got all your faces over here. So if you see me talking off to the side, I'm just looking at you. So apologies for that. So again, thank you for joining me. We got 90 minutes, and let's pop into what we're learning today. So just a little bit about me. Again, my name is Jessica Fletcher, founder of the ArrowMaker, and my mission is to change the future of work. There is a big future for small businesses in a world that's changing, and I have seen it firsthand, and I've made it my mission to encourage more people to go into business for themselves, because I've found myself that one of the greatest things being a business owner is you get to shape your business around your life. You give yourself the gift of being able to mold the work that you do and exactly how you do it, how it needs to work for all of the various responsibilities that we have. We all have a little something different going on, and it's a huge gift to be able to shape that exactly as you need it. And it's a joy. So one of the most important things that I always say is you must keep yourself in your business equation. It's easy just to think about the business isolated, but you're not going to get a full picture, and you're not going to get what you need out of your business. So keep yourself in the equation. And it's not just enough to start. Obviously, we want to stay in business and have a healthy business and continue to grow and prosper and reach all those goals that we've set for ourselves. As business owners, we oftentimes are acting as visionaries, and we've chosen to do work differently because we can shape it and have the flexibility to do it exactly as it needs to fit in our life. We have to wear all of the hats. When we're just starting out, especially when it's just you, you've got to be an expert in sales. You got to know all of your technology, be able to set everything up. You got to be able to do all your marketing and network. You have to do that. You guess you're muted too. You can't hear, Adriana. Can anyone else having issues hearing me? Nope. Okay. Everyone else can. I'm so sorry about that, Adriana. Hopefully you get your hearing sorted out. Otherwise, you will get the recording. So hopefully, if you can't get your audio sorted out today, you'll be able to watch it back. Again, I'm going to post that worksheet in a little bit, and we're gonna get you going. So where was I? So you're shaping your business around your life. We want to make that last. So in addition to having to wear all those hats, you have to make that mean something. You want to create a structure and a value in your business, something that lasts, and it's not going to be one size fits all. It's going to work for your life, and it's going to work for your skills. In order to do that, what you need to do is you need to unleash all the ideas that you have for your business and the goals you have for your life, and you have to track them back to what you know today so that all those plans, all those good ideas don't just stay in the abstract, they actually become action. So that's that second thing that we're going to be focusing on as we do our work today, is we're going to take all those good ideas and figure out how to unbox them, sequence them, break them into step by step so that we have an action plan we can move forward. And that is a skill that you need to develop as a business owner to keep things running, to continue to grow. So, as once you've unleashed your ideas for your plans to become action, the last thing that we want to focus on today is to get it all done. You have to set big goals and you have to move forward boldly. So I'm a big believer in you can't reach a goal that you don't set. You want to aim high. You're more powerful than you think. And oftentimes as a business owner, especially if you're a solopreneur, a single business owner, it can feel very isolating. And because you're doing things differently, you're doing work differently, and you're shaping it for your life, you're often innovating and doing it just a little bit differently than you've seen done. And that can be that can bring a lot of fear with it. You want to be able to set targets, move forward boldly, and come back. And even if you've made a mistake, that's okay, right? When you're running a business, you're going to do something that doesn't actually turn out how you want it to do, and that's okay as well. So with this in mind, today, whether you're just starting your business, you've got your ideas in motion, you're figuring out how you can make money from that and hit all of your goals, whether you've already started your business and you're in your sustaining, you're figuring out how it all works together, how to make your balance sheet work, and how to actually achieve those goals that you set. Or if you're in a point where you're scaling your business, everything is working pretty smoothly. Now you want to double down on your strongest revenue sequences. Maybe you're scaling up and you want to expand. Or if you're scaling back and you're ready to sell, you're ready to move on to your next business idea. The work that we're doing today is something that you'll want to continue to do throughout those stages of your business to recenter the work that you're doing. And again, match them from what you know today to that idea 10, 15 life cycle of your business kind of goals. You want to be able to match those. So that's what we're doing today. So let's jump into what your specific outcomes are going to be. Today, I want you to walk away with a 1-year plan for your business. And what that's going to include is, first, we're going to document the dreams that drive you. You're driven to something in your business. You have ideas of what it's going to do for the world, what it's going to do for yourself. We want to document those. That's the beginning and the end of everything. It's not just enough to document those. We're going to go ahead and break them out and make them actionable and measurable. A lot of times our goals are those visionary ideas. They're abstract. It's maybe a feeling or a lifestyle we want to have. Maybe we want to leave a legacy on the world or for our family. We've got those abstract ideas. You got to be able to break them apart and make them actionable, and measurable is important because that's when you know you've had success in that goal. If you can measure it, then you can track your progress and say, I have gotten here. So we're going to do that next. After that, we're going to identify where your focus needs to be today. So we've mapped your goals. We've broken them out and figured out what success looks like in those goals. Now we're going to match it to what you're doing today and figure out where your focus is going to be. You might have a lot of things you want to accomplish, and they could be very long-term goals, but that may not necessarily be where you need to focus today. So that's going to be a big part of the work that we're doing together today. And then the last thing is we're going to make a plan for what has to happen first. I typically suggest, and we'll get to this at the end, a 90-day plan. When I do this, I try to do this every quarter for my business. I give myself a 90-day plan. I do 90-day targets, and then do a retrospective at the end of the quarter and do it again. If that's a little bit too much sometimes, especially when this is the first or maybe the first time you're doing an exercise like this, sometimes 90 days can be too much, in which case I'll advise that you go ahead and start with just 30 days. Because the most important thing is you have a very clear idea of here's exactly what I'm going to accomplish and here's the timeline I'm going to accomplish it in. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get those 4 things. And before I move on into the next slide, I am going to post the worksheet that we're going to be working in, and then we are going to get going. Link, post it here. And Adriana, it looks like you can hear now. Oh, I'm so glad. Excellent. You can stay with us today and you can work on this worksheet. I just posted it here in the chat for everyone. It is a PDF. You can either download it and edit it using a PDF editing software, Adobe Edit PDF. You can print it if you prefer writing it down. Every once in a while, there's someone who's maybe has a Mac and has issues with a PDF, in which case I always just do advise that you just get a piece of paper out so you can capture your ideas and do the work together with us today. And you can worry about making it look nice on the worksheet later. It is nice to have it all on a one pager like that, but it's a workaround. So I'll give you all a second to download that, figure out how you're going to work in that. Let me know if you have any issues in the chat or on voice. How's everyone doing with that worksheet? Can access it just fine? And I'm actually opening it up myself because, like I said, I like to do this for my business once a quarter. Sometimes I skip a quarter, but a minimum twice a year. It's definitely important to do this. So beginning of the year is the perfect time to reset your business ideas. Maybe even set 1-year targets if you like. Anybody else still downloading this worksheet and need another moment? Let me know in the chat or voice if you still need a second. Okay, excellent. All quiet. I assume we are ready to go. So let's pop into what we're learning today. First, I want to set the framework of how this type of work, this exercise fits into the overall health of your business and the life cycle. We're going to give ourselves a little centering framework. So the first thing we always starting with is our target. What are we trying to achieve? And our target for our business is the why for us. It's why it matters. Why does my business existing matter? Why is it important to me and my life? What do I want it to do for me? And why is it important for my customers and for the community that I'm serving? And that depends on what kind of business you have. That's where it begins. The next thing that we think about when we've established our target, why it matters, is the results that we're looking for. And that's the what. What does it look like? What does success look like now and in the future for my business? Keeping in mind that target, what does it look like? And that is bringing it to that measurable state so we know that we're successful. And for me, it's so important to not only recognize and learn from the hiccups and mistakes that you make as a business owner, but it's also really important to celebrate the successes, because otherwise you can start to absorb them in your day-to-day. You want to give them the same amount of time so you can really see, wow, I have actually hit this goal. I may not have hit all of them, but these ones I did. So that's really important as a business owner to set what the results look like and not just have this idea of what you're going for. The next thing that you need to think about when you know why it matters and what that looks like is how we're actually going to get there. And that's a skill that not everyone's born with, but you absolutely can develop with a little bit of practice. And that's knowing where you need to focus right now, meeting those results and stepping them in to where you are today. So it takes evaluating that with where you want to go. So those are kind of the critical pieces, matching the goals of your business with your actions today. Now, once you've set your focus, what we do as humans is we kind of put blinders on to be most effective. When we're working in a project, we kind of dig deep, and it can blind us to the other things that are happening in our business, other projects that may need us, or something that could be failing. So it's really, really important that you have a system of oversight in place. And the oversight is figuring out when to reroute. When do I need to change those focuses, right? When do I need to change my focus right now and bring something else into the equation or move something off my plate? Now, that is knowing how to uncover those hidden opportunities in your business. We could talk for 90 minutes on, and in fact, that is the second of the 3-part series, is a business health check, basically. And it's another interactive workshop, and it is an oversight process for your business that, again, I recommend that you do every time you do this. If you need a little bit of oversight, you think things are feeling like you're stalling out, you want to bring that health assessment in and say, hey, overall, what is my business doing? What are the opportunities that I have in front of me? And what are the big gaps or needs that I have to fix? And that's how we balance those and figure out if we got to change that focus. And then once you have that oversight in place and you've got your targets and your focus all set, now you're in the work of your business. And a healthy work of your business looks roughly like this. First, you definitely want to set targets, time-dependent targets. It's so important to set, even if it's just today. I'm going to do this one thing today, or this week, here's what I'm going to achieve. A monthly target is something that a lot of people kind of settle into after they've been in there a while. You want to set targets first. It's going to be very, very hard for you to track your progress if you don't set targets. Then you're going to take action on those targets. And once that time is done, you need to monitor your results and adjust your work. There's going to be no point in setting targets and trying new things if you're not actively looking at what are the results here? What did I accomplish? Did I accomplish everything that I set out to? Were the results of that what I expected? And what does that mean for my work going forward? So that's roughly where you should sit in the day-to-day as business. What's my target? Take action on that target. Did I get the result I was looking for? Does that change what my next target is going to be in my next action? So this is a framework in which today's work fits. If you are in your day-to-day and you're feeling that you are stalling out, you're not experiencing the growth that you're wanting, you feel that something is being left, that something is not being focused on and you don't have time to, if you're feeling like something is off, that's when you know you want to work backwards up this list. You want to move into the oversight. Is there something is there a hidden opportunity that I am not going after right now, or is there a big gap that I'm not seeing? If that's not it, you got to look back at your focus and say, should I adjust my focus? Do I need to change up my priorities of where I'm focusing right now? And then you can even go back up to your results and target, and do not be afraid to make big changes to why it's important. If something comes into perspective over the course of your business ownerships, you can definitely change the why and the what it looks like. It may change less often, but working backwards is the key when you're starting to feel stagnant. So let's go into the first, I don't know if this will be the first time any of you are doing some work like this, but let's jump into the first piece of our worksheet and start our work today. We're going to start with the why it matters. We need a strong foundation for growth, and that requires knowing why you want your business to succeed. So this is that first section on your worksheet, the target. And if you're not 100% sure what to put in here, there's a few things that I often see that I like to see in your target. First, it's going to be the mission. That's going to be the vision for your business or the impact that you want to make on the world. Another great thing to have in your target section is the experience, how the business shows up in your life and what you want that to enable, whether it's flexibility to travel, maybe you want to buy a house. There's so many things that you could have your business enable for you. And the third thing that I really like to see, that I always tell my clients to continue to think about, is you want to think about the next chapter, the evolution of your business, potentially what that looks like for you. Do you know what that next chapter in business looks like? And can you define what you want it to be? That is so important because it will definitely change how you make operational and strategic decisions in the beginning, what that next chapter looks like, whatever it is, whether you want to pass it on to your family, you want to sell it, you want to grow it, maybe you want to elevate and build a team and you want to pull out of working in the business. There's so many next evolutions, and it's absolutely going to change the decisions you make today. So I'll give you some minutes to work on that. If you have any questions, want to share, need help working out any of this, please in the chat or on voice video. I'm going to go quiet a little bit, let you guys do it. And like I said, I'm going to do this same work today and refresh my plan. Awesome. Thank you for posting that link again, Crystal. Anyone that's just joining, this is an interactive workshop. We just started on our worksheet, so feel free to, in chat or on voice, come in if you've got any questions. Otherwise, you're right on time. How's everyone doing on the target section? See some writing still. I don't want to, don't let me stop you. Good, got some nods. We'll give you some more time. We got plenty of time. We got 90 minutes today, so I like to build in extra time in each of these slides as well, so that if there are any questions or any particular situations that we need to share and you need feedback on for myself or for the room, we have a little to do that. And I always leave time, or I try to leave time at the end for a hot seat, although as Crystal said, a lot of times if we are really into this work and we got a lot of questions and a lot of conversation, we're right up to the last minute. So we always get it done. All right, how are we doing here? Is anyone still working on the target section, the whys, and need a couple more minutes? Okay, seems quiet. Sounds like we are all there. Good. I'm glad. Hopefully, you guys are really resonating with your whys. We are capturing it just today. Like I said, you come back to this, hopefully, frequently in your business, continue to check in on it. What I do find is that a lot of times when you're first thinking in those really abstract end of business cycle thoughts about why it matters and what you're trying to do, oftentimes you come back and things come into perspective, and those change a lot. Those change a lot in the first couple of times you do it. You might come in and something else will come into clarity and perspective. So be empowered to continue to adjust and change that even over the first 90 days as you're taking plan on your action plan. That's definitely okay to do. So let's move into the next section. Now we have a good idea of why it matters to our community that we're trying to affect and why it matters to us. Now let's break that out into what it looks like. We are now going to be setting in our results section, and we're going to take those dreams, all those big whys, and we're going to turn them into targets that we're trying to hit. And I have roughly 2 here because it's usually pretty good to limit yourself. We had 5 lines on the whys, a lot of abstract ideas. Now let's try where we can to make things measurable. Numbers where we can are great. So what you're going to think about when you're reading your whys and you're thinking about the results you're trying to hit is, how can I tell that I've got there? A great way to know that is step-in goals around revenue or take-home pay, money, time, your time, and time spent in the business. Some people want to spend more. They want to make their side hustle their main. A lot of times business owners are coming to me and they're overworked. They've got fine revenue, but they're working 60 hours a week to do it, and they want to pull back. And another great thing that I see here in the results section are life and business milestones. Whether you're opening up a brick and mortar for your business, maybe you're buying a home, Life and business milestones are another great way to measure your results and set very clear, crystal clear targets that are easy to hit. Use numbers where you can, because those are very crystal clear. So it'll give you a second to think about those whys and break them out into measurable and actionable results. And again, if you've got questions in the chat or over voice.
Jessica, is there somebody in the waiting room?
Let me see. Let me see. Can you see that, Crystal? I don't see anyone in the waiting room on my end.
No, the waiting room's disabled.
Ah,
Okay.
is there someone that's supposed to be coming, Cassie?
Yeah, my business partner says she is in the waiting room, but maybe she's not on the right link. So I'll reach out to her.
Okay. Okay. I think I have the link from the reminder email that I got this morning. So if you need me to post that, Cassie, let me know, because I can pull that here from my email. And that's what got me here.
I can resend her registration link because it's personal to her. So.
Oh, is it? Okay, there you go. Thank you, Crystal.
Okay. Thank you. It's to Robin O'Shea.
Excellent. Thanks for stopping us, Cassidy. Hopefully Robin can pop in here. Hey, Robin, I see you in here. Excellent. I'm glad you joined us. Let me know if you need anything as you're just popping in. We've got the worksheet that we're working on. We already did our targets, our whys. We're breaking those into results. So we're just starting on that. Let me know if you need that link or need any guidance on the first little bit. If you're working on the worksheet with us today, that is. Awesome. Awesome, Robin. Thank you. And I still see some heads down working, so I'll give us definitely a few more minutes on this section. But anyone that has any questions or want to share what they're doing so far, please feel free to. Otherwise, we still have a few minutes on this section, so don't worry. But hopefully silence means everyone's getting it and getting it done. So I love to see that. All right, how are we doing on the results section? Anyone still working and need a few more minutes here? Let me know in the chat or on voice if you need another moment or two to finish up the results section. Okay, excellent. Excellent. Let's move on to the next section here. Now we know why we want our business to succeed outwardly and for our life, what we want it to enable for us. And we've kind of broken that out into more measurable and reachable targets, maybe some step-in goals around the results that you're wanting to see. With that in mind, now let's talk about how that's going to happen. So we want to create a strong direction. So first we want to identify the areas you're going to focus on in the next 90 days, or again, if that's a little bit too much for you right now, just limit it to 30 days. Identify the areas that are going to be critical to your success. Now, I have 3 boxes here. Typically, 3 is more than enough to focus on at one time, especially for only 1 quarter of work. And again, these aren't going to have to necessarily change every quarter. It's just as you come back and you are redoing your action plan, remember to think about those focus areas, keep that in perspective with the results you're trying to achieve, and make sure that you are checking and making sure that you are still focusing on the right things. And join us for that second part in the series if you want to have that health assessment to figure out, hey, is there any opportunities I'm leaving on the table? Any gaps, figuring out how to actually prioritize those focus. So that's what we're going to do now is we're going to take those whys, those results that we're trying to achieve, and we're going to figure out where we need to focus. So a few tips on what I typically see and like to see in the focus areas. If you're just starting out, you're in the beginning stages of your business, maybe you got a plan and you're just setting up the first things. What I usually see in this section is you're thinking about developing a well-priced offering. Maybe you're thinking about your go-to-market, your marketing strategy, your channels, and your message. And then you're also setting up those operational foundations, maybe your website and your online presence, payment software, CRM, those types of things. That's what you typically are going to be focusing on when you're just starting your business. If you've got a nice, well-priced offering, you're already in the market, and you've got those basic foundations in place, and you are actively building your business. What I typically then start to see in this focus area is you're thinking about harnessing your technology. So you've got your basics, you're thinking about what systems am I using? How do I maximize my output from that system? And are they working together? Where are the gaps? You're also looking at streamlining your work and figuring out, okay, where are my bottlenecks? Where am I sinking more time? Where do I need to simplify and automate and condense things together so that my work is more efficient and I'm really maximizing. And then the other thing I could see here when you're actively building is knowing where to invest for growth. And again, that very specifically is going to depend on what you have in that why section, how you need it to work with your life and what you're actually trying to achieve. What if you are trying to build a big business that has multiple locations and you want to sell it for a big payout at the end? That's the decisions that you're going to make and where you're investing for growth are going to be vastly different than if you just want to build a family local business and you want to just have that stay small. Those are going to be two very different investments for growth because you got very different outcomes you want. Now, if you've already built, you have things pretty much streamlined, your technology is working really well together, and you've already invested and started to grow, and you're actually looking at scaling, whether that's scaling up, doubling down on your revenue streams, expanding your presence in the market, or if you're scaling back and you want to either sell or close down your business, what I typically then start to see you need to focus on is you're thinking about min-maxing your numbers. So you're pulling out that profit and loss and figuring out where you can trim excess in terms of expenses and in terms of times and projects. You're looking at potentially building a team and all of the fun things that come with trying to delegate and really hire someone that can do the work that you've been doing for years and years. You're looking at your market presence. What markets am I in? What is my value proposition? How do I replicate that and expand that? And you're looking at your valuation as well, especially if you're selling. You're probably getting a financial expert coming in and looking at what's my market valuation? What is that, year over year, profit percentage, that sort of thing. So that's something to keep in mind as you are figuring out where your focus should be. Again, I'm going to let you work on this. I'm going to work on my own, but I'm keeping an eye on the chat as well as anyone that has a question. You can come on voice as well. I'll give you some time to figure out where you think you need to focus based on where you are now and where you want to go in the future. And I always say, one last tiny thing is I always say that a good business owner has an exit strategy. Now, you don't have to start your business knowing exactly how you want it, how you want to close it out, but you should be thinking seriously about and develop a good idea of how you want the life cycle of your business to look. And if you do end up wanting to sell, you want the business to live on beyond you. You want to build a legacy for your family. You want to retire at a certain time. You want to cash out and build a different business. There's so many different lifestyles or life cycles of your business, and you need to keep that in mind as you're building this because you're not going to be able to make all the right decisions if you don't know where you're going to end up, if that makes sense. Eyelash in my eye. Ouch. There it is. How's everybody doing on this section with our focus? Any questions, any issues, breaking out those results and tracking them to what you're doing today so you know where to focus? I realized that I forgot about the pro tip that I keep on here. You may be facing an urgent problem, a recent change, or an upcoming opportunity that often comes into focus in these pro tips. A lot of times when I get a client that comes to me, it's because, oh, something drastically changed in my business and I need to rethink from the ground up and I gotta make some big changes. Or, maybe there is a market opportunity and you just want to break into this new market and that needs to be top of mind because you're taking advantage of market timing. So, you want to think about that as well, those sort of urgent either life or market needs, in addition to layering in the focus. So you're building towards those long goals. You don't want to be so blinded and so focused on here's what I think success should look like that you're not kind of open to, here's the changing circumstances of my life or a potential opportunity that I hadn't considered before. So that often comes into focus here and you want to keep that in mind. I don't see anyone stopping me in chat or coming on voice. So I'm going to take that to mean everyone was able to complete our focus section and it's working out. So we are going to move into our next section then. Hopefully I'm not missing any questions here. So let's move on from the how it happens, our focus. Now let's get to chunking out the work so we know when it's going to happen. So a strong plan involves chunking out those focus sections. And like I've been saying, I like to do this for 90-day intervals, having it once a quarter. You're setting your targets, you're coming back and you're doing a quarterly review. That's a really nice timing for a business. But a lot of times, especially when it's one of the first times you're doing something like this, that can be a little bit daunting. 3 months is kind of a long time. So if that's feeling like too much time to put into your plan, you can always chunk that back to 30 days and keep it very relevant. But again, make sure that you're coming back at the end of that either 30 or 90-day interval and looking at what did I actually achieve. So let's look at chunking those out. This is the green section here, the steps, when we're going to do it. And first, what we're going to do first is we're going to set our 90-day or our 30-day target measures. It's so important to set targets. We covered it at the beginning of our workshop today, and it comes back into focus here. You've got to set targets in order to be able to take action and then know, have I hit this target, and be able to adjust your work. You want to continue to set targets to keep yourself moving forward incrementally. So when you're setting your 90 or 30-day target measures, you want to consider the actual time you have. If you only have 2 hours a week to focus on your business, there's only a certain amount of very few things that you can get done versus if you're doing it full time. So think very carefully about what kind of time you have to dedicate to this work that's over and above the actual delivery work that you actually are doing to deliver to your clients or deliver your product. You got to think about what you can accomplish. So you want to think about your working habits and what you do best and what takes you more time. Some people are, for example, a whiz with tech. You can give them a new platform and in an hour, they're getting the basic functionality set up and they're good to go. And I've had clients who really take a lot of time with their technology and they can get it set up, but it'll take more like 7 hours. So the way that we chunk out and assign those 2 different clients works, it's going to be very different. So we're going to want to make sure that you are giving yourself enough time to do these things. And that'll be a practice as well. It's okay not to hit every single target that you set. You want to be able to have that blended. Again, you can't reach a goal you don't set. So I encourage you to set those big goals. You're more powerful than you think. But when you're coming to the end of that retrospective, you're looking back and saying, did I hit those targets? That's when you start to think critically, should I change the way I'm doing now that I've learned more about myself? If that makes sense. And then when you're setting those target measures, again, make sure that you know where your energy is best spent in the next 90 days. So if those focus areas are things you're thinking that you're going to maybe need to focus on all year long, think about where your energy is best spent today and in that next 90 or 30 days. So that's what you do first, is set your targets. And then the second thing you're going to do is define the actions that you're going to take to reach those measures. And you want to get granular, decide on your CRM. Upload your client list. Figure out your automations. You want to get very granular so you can basically check off, here's the items that I've done, and you can take an inventory at the end of that time frame. Now the steps, I have three buckets here as well. What I usually like to do is I set each of these as its own big definable target, and then I define the actions that I'm going to take to get to that target underneath. But I've also seen these split out into month over month. So if you're doing a 90 days, first month is the first one, second month, third month, and you just blend all of your actions for those targets into each of those months. So however makes the most sense to you is how I want you to handle this in the step section. Define your 90-day target measures and then define the actions that you're going to take here is the most important thing. So I'll give you some time to do that. And again, have any questions, need some help working out anything, chat or voice, I'm here to help you guys. Thank you. So Chelsea, I appreciate your question here. Chelsea sent me a direct message. Can you give an example of a target measure and then some sub actions? Absolutely. So say one of your target measures is having a fully functional CRM. When I first started, I did a CRM, which is, if you guys don't know, customer relations management, which is basically just a client list. So you can track the necessary things. When was the last time I talked to them? Where's their source, right? Who sent them to me? Was it a referral or a cold lead? So I started with just a Google sheet, just a client list and columns, and that was my CRM. But you get to a point where that is not, I got to a point where that wasn't enough. And so I moved to setting up a CRM. A lot of businesses end up needing some kind of system where they set it up. It's a little bit more automated and a lot easier to use. So say you were setting up a CRM here. And you want to be using that. First, you would need to take a look and make a decision on a CRM. So maybe you want to test them. So you're going to do a little market research and you're going to maybe select 5, again, numbers where you can. So you might spend an afternoon, do a little research, select 5 you want to try, do some free trials and spend a couple of hours playing around in those systems and then making a decision. Once you've made a decision, then you need to upload your client list. Do you have one or do you need to make one? If you need to make one, that's going to be another sub action. Make a client list where you're just taking an inventory. Here's everyone I've talked to, all the leads, all my partners, all my networking people, anyone that maybe I've past clients. You start to make an exhaustive list and you need to upload it. Next thing you need to do is categorize that list. So figure out what you want to track and how. So do you want to track what kind of a contact they are? Well, this is a client. This is a former client. This one's a referral partner. Maybe you want to track the source. A lot of times when you're looking to eventually scale and build a business that you can then double down and increase your revenue, you want to make sure that you're tracking the source so that when you are looking at the time you spend on marketing or networking and the amount of money you spend on maybe, your BNI group or your ads, you want to track spend in time and finances to your revenue by source, for example. So you want to figure out, one of your sub actions is figuring out all the things you want to track and then setting those up. Maybe you're also going to be setting up some simple automations. Now you're going to maybe use them and figure out where you have some warm leads and you're going to follow up. That's going to be another sub action. So that's an example of, a focus and a target and all of the little actions you're going to need to take. And again, very granular to get to that target. For me, when I am in my working mode, the strategy brain is something that's very different than the efficient working mode. When I'm working on my business, I need to work from a checklist. So what I do is weekly, when I'm looking at my week, I'm looking at what I have to do, the clients I'm meeting, the projects I'm doing, and the things I've assigned for myself in my quarterly review that I need to accomplish for my business. And I make a plan. I make a checklist for each day. And then when I sit down to work for that day, I'm checking it off. So that for me is really important. So I get very granular when I look at my sub steps because I want to say, okay, today I made a decision on a CRM. That was an important milestone, and check it off. Did that answer your question, Chelsea? Hopefully. If you have anything more specific that you want help figuring out what your sub actions are going to be, definitely let me know. Oh, that worked. Okay, good. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Anybody else have any questions about how to break down those focus areas into steps? Anyone having difficulty doing that? I do have a few things to keep in mind, Chelsea and anyone else that is trying to figure out how to shape this section, is you want to start with what you know. So it's okay if you don't know everything that is going to go into your eventual 10-year goals. What you want to do is you want to start with what you know today. And again, setting those very clear time-dependent milestones. So start there. It's okay not to know everything that's going to happen next. You want to also figure out what your decision triggers are. So going back to that example of the CRM, you don't know what CRM you're going to go for. And so you don't know what all the actions you're going to need to take to set it up and use it. But what you do know is you need to make a decision, and you know what you need to do to make that decision. You need to do your market research, select your 5, and then test them. So figure out what your decision triggers are. It's okay for a sub-step or a milestone to actually be a decision. Next thing I want you to think about when you're figuring out these steps, and as you're coming back to this every quarter or however often you decide is good for you, pay attention to sequencing. So even though we want to achieve something, it may not be what you may need to do other things first to set up for that. So you want to make sure that you're sequencing things appropriately and you're doing the things now that you have to do in order to do maybe those next things in the next quarter or in the end of the year. So pay attention to correct sequencing and know that you may have a goal that you hit, but you may have something else you need to do first in order to build towards that. You also want to remember the impacts, and this is really important going back to keeping yourself in the business equation. You have very clear impacts for your business, whether they be, revenue or the time that you're spending, or if you do have a team, you've got a lot of other impacts there as well. You also want to remember the impacts to yourself. So when you're thinking of setting targets and trying to take action and move forward your business incrementally, you want to pay attention to what impact those actions are going to have on your experience with your business and on your business health. Because if you can think about your actions and even those foundational actions in terms of impact, this is going to help me make a decision. This is going to set something up critical to my next goal that will really help motivate and also codify the steps that you're taking as something important. Because a lot of times, again, if we sit here and we think abstractly of what our goals are, but we're not connecting the actions we think we need to take with real impacts, we're not going to be as successful in hitting and achieving those because we haven't connected them to real impacts in your life or in your business. And then the last thing I want you to keep in mind as you set 30 or 90-day target chunks and you're setting your steps is cluster your activities. I think I mentioned before, the human brain is so interesting because we're able to really focus and dig in and be super efficient on a particular thing. And it takes advantage of a particular brain pathway and kind of blinds you to some other things. Like I was talking about that strategy brain being very different than the work in the business, get it done brain. What you want to do is cluster your activities. So when I am, for example, doing project work, say I'm doing spreadsheet work for a client, I will have an afternoon where I am doing all of that spreadsheet work back to back. So I'm taking advantage of that effective brain power. And then a different day, I'll do say my networking, where I have to talk a little bit about, me and what I'm doing, and schmooze with the community. And that will be different work than my strategy and visual and visionary work developing, say, a workshop like this for the community to give back. Those are all different brain pathways. So when you're clustering your sales activity, your marketing activity, your technology build, cluster them together, you'll find that you accomplish way more than you could when you pepper it all over the place and jump back from one thing to another. So those are some little tips as you come back and you continue to play with your targets and you continue to recenter and chunk out your work. So before we move on, anyone else working on this steps section? Anyone need another moment or have a question? Otherwise, we'll move on to our next section. We are making good time. So that's perfect. All right, I don't see any activity. So we are going to move on into our final section, which is the why. Now, strong performance, actually being able to accomplish these and get these actions done. It's not enough just to write them down and have a list and a good plan. You need to build habits that are going to keep you moving forward. And that means that you have to show up a certain way for your business to actually get where you want to go. So, what you need to think about here is, what do you need to perform well? So me, for example, I need a good night's sleep. If I don't have a full restful night's sleep, I have difficulty sleeping. If I don't have a full restful night's sleep, I will not be my best. It is a marked difference in my performance. So I've been experimenting with, taking some melatonin, having a wind down period with tea. I have to make sure that all the lights are off, while everything's closed, it's super dark. I also have a bit of a sound soother going. I need to have those. Exactly, Anita. Habits are very important. I need to have those habits in place. Otherwise, I will not perform my best. Same thing with my desk. I need a clean desk. If I have a cluttered desk, I have a cluttered mind, and I can't focus on really seeing my business for what it is and what those next step needs to be over and above the delivery work that it takes to run it day to day. So every week, my desk gets increasingly cluttered. And when I do that weekly plan, I'm also cleaning off my desk. So that's the habit, is I clean off my desk first, I make it all really nice, and then I pull up that week and I make my week's plan. That's the habit that I have to center myself and give myself very executable things that week. So you need to show up a certain way for you to be successful in your business. You want to build habits, map those right here. What habits do you need? What things do you need around you to be successful? Even if it's something you struggle with, it's hard to build a habit, but it's easy to keep them once they're there. As I'm doing this, I'm actually remembering I have a client who I've worked with for several years who gets really inspired when she works in her garden. And she forgets this frequently. So when we discovered some techniques, we figured out some ways for her to really kind of reignite that creativity that is essential to her particular business. And then every, 6 months or so, she'll start to feel really stalled. You get that writer's block, that creative block. You just feel like you can't move forward. And I'll have to remind her, I'll say, when was the last time you were out in your garden? Have you done any gardening recently? And, it's always, oh, yeah, I haven't really. I don't know, maybe. And I'll remind her how important it is. And then invariably, the next time we meet, she's gone out in the garden, she's gotten a breakthrough, and she's moving forward again in an exciting way. So you got to really try and recognize it and then remind yourself, because it's easy to think, oh, that's a simple solution. That's not going to solve my problem. But you really can get into an environment, even the candles that I light, the smells that I put around, the drink that I'm having, the clothes that I'm wearing, all of that affects my mindset and builds repeatable things for your brain to start to recognize and get into a certain habit. You want to take advantage of the things that activate our brain and set us into a certain mood. And you absolutely can do that. You can control that and you can build it. And it's actually wonderful to see when I pull out, when I get my certain clothes on and I've got my coffee and I'm sitting at my clean desk and I've got a particular smell going. And I've done my habit, I've done my ritual for the morning. I'm ready to work. I'm excited to work, and here I am. And if I hadn't have done that, it wouldn't be the same. So keep those in mind as you're working. Maybe you know them, maybe you got to discover them, but we all have things that we can build and kind of Pavlov ourselves, trick ourselves a little bit into getting into the right mode. Because, as much as we want to make sure that we're doing the right things for ourselves and giving ourselves space to learn and to grow as a business owner, ultimately, it begins and ends with us, right? It's our bills that need to be paid. It's your business at the end of the day. And sometimes we do have to almost force ourselves. We have to trick ourselves into getting into the right mindset so that we are continuing to push forward. And that's absolutely something that is going to really help you as a business owner. How is everyone on this why section? The habits are a lot of times a little bit easier to kind of map. Anyone have any questions so far, or need another moment here on this last why section? Okay, excellent. So the final piece of advice that I will leave you with is how to kind of maintain your arrow, when to come back to it, and what to do in order to be successful, and when you need help keeping up with your plan. And it looks like we're actually making really great time today. We may have a few minutes here at the end for a hot seat. Anyone that wants to share the work they've done today, maybe anyone had a breakthrough, or hopefully this has been good for you. If you want to either share or troubleshoot, anything like that, we'll have a few minutes, it feels like, at the end for anyone that does feel like coming on into the hot seat. So maintaining your arrow, let's leave you with this so that you know what you need to do when you need help keeping up with your plan. The first thing that I want to remind you, we covered this a little bit in the steps, is make time for everything. That includes your personal things. Make sure that you're making time for all the things you want to do in your personal life as well as in business. A lot of times we can get really overwhelmed because we have so much that we want to do and we layer it all on ourselves, and we have 12 projects going and 15 that we want to do in addition to it. And we haven't made time for any of that. So make time for everything. You want to make sure that the growth that you're achieving is also going to be healthy and you're not giving too much of yourself and then pulling all your bandwidth away. Make sure that you're making time for everything. And what you also want to do is hold yourself accountable. I know I've said it a couple times, setting targets and monitoring the results to adjust your work. You want to make sure that you are being held accountable. And if you need help with that, what I find is really, really a good indicator is being able to talk about and share your goals. Tell people, tell your friends, your family, any maybe professional connections, tell them what you're doing in the 30 days or in this next quarter. Get excited about them and bring them into your work, because that will really allow yourself to be held accountable for those actions. Because now now your group's in it, right? Your circle is in on this. They know what you're doing. They're excited for you, and it can really feed a good feedback loop for that. So making sure to hold yourself accountable. And if you have difficulty doing that, bring others into that so that you are actually taking a look and seeing, am I hitting these targets? And it's okay. Again, it's totally okay if you don't hit any of the targets that month. Sometimes something comes in, a wrench gets thrown in, and you don't get any of them. That's okay. It's still important to come back, hold yourself accountable to those, monitor what happened, what went wrong, what does that mean for the next? Keep moving forward. Take baby steps. Again, to the point of chunking out big goals into teeny tiny steps. It's okay to not get it all done right away. A lot of times as business owners, we get really excited about an idea and we want it all. We want it all to be perfect, and we can fall into this trap of over-engineering something in the beginning. The best way to push forward as a business owner is to take baby steps, chunk it out into the tiniest things, and then celebrate that. Back to where we were saying how important it is to celebrate the success. Taking those teeny baby steps is a way for you to be consistent and to continue to push forward, even though it doesn't feel like you're hitting those big goals. That's how you build it. Baby steps every week, doing one tiny thing, making one growth and adjustment that's going to positively affect your business. And in that same line of taking baby steps is be consistent. It's actually the consistency that's key. Most businesses that are really, that last and are really, really solid are ones that consistently take those baby steps. They continue to look at what is next, what do I need to be doing? And it's less of a blitz and get it all done in 2 months and then never have to worry about it again. And it's more of doing tiny things over and over, every single week, every single year. That's how you're really going to see the good growth. It's not going to be about these really big flashy, not always about anyway, these really flashy big milestones. The most important things are those baby steps that you're doing consistently over and over. The next thing to think about when you're thinking about that is set boundaries. Set boundaries between your personal life and your business. As much as it's important to shape your business around your life and you want to keep yourself in the equation, it's very easy to start to blur those lines, start to give up your nights or give up your hobbies because you need to do something in your business. Make sure that you're setting and you're keeping really good boundaries so that you stay healthy in all aspects of your life. And then finally, lean on your support system. We are not alone. Even though we're a solopreneur and it can feel very lonely, you are not alone. You have everyone here in this call today that are all here together trying to make a plan for growth on their business. You hopefully have family and friends and maybe professional connections. You have circles that you can lean on. One of the biggest things that I say, as fractional COO, as a, operations expert, is I'm not a financial expert. I might be able to help you with your profit and loss. I can help you with a bit of a financial forecast. We can start a little bit, but when it's something important and when the job requires it, give it to the expert. One of the things that I really have discovered about myself is I would much prefer, when I'm setting up new technology or figuring out something, I don't want to take the time to build it. I would prefer to contract out that work to someone who already knows that system. I'll be very clear about what I want, but I would much prefer someone else to build that because I just don't enjoy it. So that's one thing where I lean on my support system and I know that I don't have to do it all alone. So hopefully that helps a little bit. And we are at the end of our workshop today. Hopefully you guys have all got a plan. I'm going to stop my share here and hopefully ask if anyone wants to go on the hot seat. We've got about 10 minutes before the close of our session today. I'm noticing a few people who are popping out. Anyone that needs to pop out early, what I am going to do, what I always do, is offer a little extra time for anyone that is feeling like they don't want to share publicly, but do need a little bit more help one-on-one. I'm happy to meet with anyone that wants to. I'm going to post a link for a coffee. If anyone needs a little bit more one-on-one help, you can get on my calendar. Feel free to. Anyone that needs help, I'm happy to give it. So we can talk if you need anything at all. But while we're here today, anyone feeling brave and wanting to come on the hot seat, share what they've done today, share about their business, and or if anyone has any big questions about their plan and what they need to be doing. Now's the time to share and bring your community into your 30 or 90-day plan, if anything. Doesn't look like anyone wants to come on the hot seat. Well, how about this? Did you guys enjoy? Ah, there we are, Casey.
It's Casey here. Sorry, I don't know how to do the raise the hand. I'm not, Horseshack in the back room.
You're
For those
good, Casey.
that know who Horseshack is. What would be the best marketing strategy in a startup business? I'm a very small bicycle shop coming into a new town here, and there's only one other, and the other town close by is saturated with shops within about 3 miles of each other. What's the best marketing strategy to get out there and get your name, either other than just like joining the chamber, hitting on Instagram, Facebook, and different things of that nature?
So when you're trying to break into a local market, what I usually see, what I usually advise my clients to do, what I see success in is actually getting to know your local like biking and communities. You said you have a bike shop. The wellness community really has a lot of intersection with, with biking, healthy living, good eating, and also bike routes and local bike routes I live in Tucson, so we have a great bike route, and sometimes I'll see a group of people going around on their bikes too, maybe hitting up different pubs, right? So, sightseeing around town. So what I would say is identify the customer that you're trying to reach, figure out, I don't know if you've done your client avatars, if you understand who your customer is, sometimes it's a couple of them. So I don't know if you've done that work, but if you haven't,
Yes.
Okay, good. So identify that. You may have a couple of them. And what I think is really important is figuring out the channels that you can reach them. And those aren't going to be just biking specific channels. They're going to be other community groups. That's where you start to get your name out there. And it is just about kind of hitting the streets. And then on the other side, the cold marketing and your online presence, it is a little bit of a longer game. But being able to be consistent with figuring out exactly, I think you said Instagram was one of the platforms that you had.
Yes.
So figuring out exactly what your value proposition in each of those platforms are relative to the client that's there is going to be really important. And then I don't know if you've taken any marketing specific workshops or talked to anybody about KPIs. Does that sound familiar? Key performance indicators?
Yes.
Okay, so that for me is how you make small marketing strategies work. For me, marketing is all about quick iterations because it really depends on your community and your sell. So I usually do monthly. Set your key performance indicators in each of your channels. That's going to be in person as well as online, and make sure that you are effectively looking at them every single month and using that to change. Make small iterations on the verbiage you're using or the types of content you're putting out there or the ways that you're following up, right? What's the click rate at the beginning? Am I losing my clients? Are they seeing things and not engaging? Are they engaging but not clicking and following to, my website? Are they doing that but they're not coming into the store? Where am I losing them in the process? And what can I garner from their habits and their behaviors to improve my chances in that channel? Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully that helped a little bit. And again, if you want to talk more about that, feel free to get on my calendar. We can talk in more detail about marketing and KPIs and take a look at what you've got so far if you want.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Casey. I appreciate you coming on the hot seat. Anyone else have a burning question or something they want to share for the hot seat? All right. All right. Well, if that's it, then I will. Oh, let's see, Crystal, do you want to go over the next workshop? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Since we've got a few minutes, I'm not used to even having a few minutes. Usually I'm a few minutes over, so it's nice to have a little space. So this is the first of the 3-part series. This is our goal boosting. We're taking your ideas and making an action plan. Again, I recommend you come back to this every quarter, but I make a point to at least do it twice a year, this kind of activity. The next item, the next workshop that we're doing, which I actually don't know when the date is off the top of my head, maybe Crystal can enlighten us. It is next month. I don't know the date exactly. I can find it here in a second. That one is our hidden opportunities. That's where we're doing the reroute and doing a business health assessment to figure out where your roadblocks are and where the opportunities are that you're not going for. That's the second one. And Crystal, just let me know that's February 8th. So if you're interested in that one, that's February 8th. It's a business health assessment. Again, just like this one, it's interactive. We've got a worksheet, and we're going to be getting another plan for your business to maybe reroute. And then the third in the series is going to be in March. And again, I don't know the exact date. I can pull that here in a second, but the third in the series is all about scaling. So whether you're scaling up and you want to double down on your revenue, grow your team, pull back from working in the business to working on the business, and or you're scaling back and you want to sell or close down the business, that third one is for you. And thank you, Crystal. That one's March 14th. So that's the third in the series, all about scale. And that, again, it is an interactive workshop. We got a worksheet and we make a plan. I'm all about actionable plans. If we're walking away and you don't know what your next step is, then I feel like I've failed. So hopefully everyone knows the next.
Oh, I think she froze. Everyone is registered for the next two parts already. So if you registered for this one, you're automatically registered for those ones, and we'll send out email reminders for those so you don't have to worry about that. Can everyone still hear me okay? Okay. Oh no. We'll see if she is able to come back in. Looks like Mel, I do see your question for Jessica. So we'll see if she can come back in and answer that. Again, take advantage of her coffee chat. Also, if you don't have a SCORE mentor or you just want to work on this worksheet more with a SCORE mentor, definitely request one. Or if you already are working with one, reach back out to them or submit a new request if you're looking for a different kind of mentoring. All of our mentors can bring on other mentors to help you. Check out our resources. I'm going to drop a link for our next workshops coming up. We have a lot of great financial ones, digital marketing. Any other questions that I can answer?
And I'm back. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Oh, there you are. Perfect.
It's raining here. My internet jumped out a minute.
I was just filling them in on some SCORE stuff coming up, but there was a question.
Oh, beautiful.
From Mel.
See in the chat. Oh, Mel, let's see. How can I research my avatar wants? My avatars are young moms and grandmothers. So for an avatar, what I usually do is I figure out who it is. It's one of the things that I dislike the most about marketing and business ownership is having to put my client in a box. But even like demographic information about your client, and for the most important thing about that client avatar, what they want, their heart problem. So what they want in terms of what they want from you is going to be different from the problem they're trying to solve. That's how you can speak directly to their needs. And then what you want to do is figure out what their alternatives are, right? What is your value and how else could they solve that problem? Where else would they go? Would they do it themselves? Would they see a competitor? And then also mapping out where those other channels are, where they're getting involved in their community, who they're following, what they're reading. All of that is really going to help you not only figure out how to reach them, but where. So how and where are the biggest things when you're figuring out your client avatar. And again, Mel, I know we're over here, so I don't want to be respectful of everyone's time, but get on my calendar if you want to talk more about avatars, and we can get you hopefully in the right direction. Thank you, Crystal.
Absolutely. Well, great. Thank you, everyone. And look out for the recording so you can go back and review, connect with Jessica, connect with SCORE, connect with the Pima County Library or your local library. And we'll see you in about a month. So it gives you some time to kind of, develop that worksheet even further. So have a great one, everyone. We'll catch you at our next workshop.
Take care, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.